Good morning, everyone. Today is Wednesday, June 7th, 2023, and you are tuning in to News in Motion. Whether you are watching live at 7:25 a.m. on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, if you're an audio podcast listener, we just want to say thank you for listening in. If you're catching a replay in the afternoon, the evening, or near the nighttime, we just want to say thank you for tuning for watching. Today is Wednesday workshop, so we have a lot to talk about. So make sure you have your coffee, make sure you have your pen and paper ready, make sure that you have any questions that you're going to ask on standby. You might want to jot those questions down. But today's discussion is voter registration. We apologize for the brief technical difficulties there on the radio wave there, but with today's discussion is voter registration. So you might want to grab a young person. If you have a teenager who's about to be 18, you might want to pull them in for this and get them some information that might be helpful. So with that being said, let's go get some news in motion.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. It is time for News in Motion. This is Wednesday, y'all, June the 7th, so it is Wednesday workshop. As promised, I'm going to be giving you information for voter registration along with different headline news. So you want to just stay on here and follow along. And as Isaiah said, get your paper, pencil, ink pen, memo pad, smartphone, whatever, to be able to take notes. So with that, I see you, Deborah Johnson, coming in here. I see you, Regina Shorts, Marion Jackson, Stephanie Burbridge Hall, Kim Edmondson, good morning to you. Jeff Payne, good morning to you. I see Adrian, I see Robert Holman, and others are coming in. Listen, if you know anyone who needs this this information, go ahead and share it now. Deborah, that's funny because we saw you on there on YouTube. So it's okay. Do what you need to do. She said she couldn't get it to open, but we saw you in there. So I don't know what that was about, but thank you, Deborah. Good morning to my brother as well. We're going to dive in today on this Wednesday workshop. Again, I'm going to be inserting articles and issues and things that are going on that are headline news. So the best thing you can do is follow along. I think it is so crucial in this moment to get this information out to all of you. And I'm going to say this on the front end. If I remember, I'll say it on the back end as well. If you have a team, whether that's a small group or a large group, and you say, hey, Gail, we would love for you to come and talk to this group. Now, you got to get me there. But I'm willing to do that as well. The goal here is to get this information out. Good morning, Pastor Alex, is to get this information out. I have spent hours upon hours researching this, putting this together. The moment I said yes to joining these other organizations to get this voter information, voter registration out there, I began working, looking at all my resources and what I was able to do. I see you, Shardinia. So with that, y'all, we want to kick off Wednesday workshop because it's going to take up the entire time. Please, if you have questions, post those questions in the chat. If you're on whether LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube. If you are listening by audio or podcast and you have a question, be sure to email us at newsinmotionwithgail@gmail.com. Again, newsinmotionwithgail@gmail.com. And Isaiah will put that email up as well. And we'll try to get that email in the chat as well. So again, newsinmotionwithgail@gmail.com. The other thing I want to share with you, although we have a goal of trying to get 5,000 registered a month, there's really no way of you really knowing if they actually register. So you're going to go with your best guess. And I'm trying to say how I can say this. I'm not so into the numbers as much as I'm into us talking to people and encouraging them to register to vote. So with that, I want to jump right in here, starting with some headline news. Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie filed paperwork in the Federal Election Commission to kick off his 2024 campaign for president. He did that in New Hampshire yesterday. In his announcement, he said, and I'll quote, "We've had leaders who have led us to being small, small by their example, small by the way they conduct themselves, small by the things they tell us we should care about." He said, adding, "Donald Trump made us smaller by dividing us even further and pitting one group against another." Many in the Republican Party, they're not too in favor of Chris Christie, but you have a lot of independents and Democrats who favor Chris Christie. So this race is becoming very interesting. Yes, Kim Edmondson, the scene is getting crowded. It's getting crowded quickly. So just to give you a lay of the land, now this is what I know as of right this moment. The current field on the left is Biden Harris, Marianne Williamson. She ran back in 2020 as well. Robert F. Kennedy, he is known for misinformation. On the right, we have Donald Trump, Mike Pence, Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley. I think it's Vivek Ramaswamy. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. I could be wrong there. Asa Hutchinson, Larry Elder, Tim Scott, and now Chris Christie. Third party, we have Dr. Cornel West, who's a part of the People's Party, and we're now waiting to hear from Senator Joe Manchin with the no label list. That one is still up in the air, but that's what we have currently that I know of. And we also hear that Kanye West is going to throw his hat in as well. Issues so far: book banning, cancellation of AP African American history, education, including targeting educational curriculum and parents' rights to decisions made by schools. We have crime and policing. We have foreign policy, border control and immigration, gun reform, women's rights, abortion ban, inflation, student debt forgiveness, DEI, LGBTQIA, using legislation to target gender-affirming care, transgender girls, and women competing in high school and college sports, and the classification of drag shows. We also have Florida's Don't Say Gay legislation that's moving into other states. Again, we have transgender health care for minors. We have Cop City, Atlanta. Now that has passed, we have other cities looking at being a cop city, relaxing child labor laws. We have travel. Don't miss travel, people. We have an airplane merger with JetBlue and Spirit Airlines. Pay attention to what's happening here. We have climate change, we have Medicare and Medicaid, and we have Social Security. Those are the issues as of today. Good morning, Hester. Good morning. So when we sent out the packets, we sent out 119 packets. And if you decide, hey, I want to join the News in Motion Ambassador voting registration volunteer team, let us know. We'll get a packet out to you. It's about 14 pages that you followed. I'm going to go over a lot of that with you today. In that packet, we say, and I quote, "We appreciate you becoming a part of our volunteer team. As a News in Motion ambassador, your role is to promote volunteer registration and participation. You are encouraged to register individuals to vote and encourage them to participate in all upcoming elections. Moreover, you will be responsible for sharing important information such as websites, town hall schedules, and other key factors to keep voters informed and engaged. You will also discuss community issues and ways to address disparities within marginalized groups. Our goal is to have News in Motion ambassadors who are enthusiastic about having meaningful conversations and developing effective voting strategies for the betterment of the community. Through this type of engagement, we will see an increase in voter registration and participation." We really believe that. Yes, Kim Edmondson, economy, I put that under inflation, but if you want to separate that out, yes. So y'all start thinking now about questions and putting them up there, because I'm going to go through this presentation so that we can see what's actually happening. So this is our Wednesday workshop. This is the presentation that we're going to go through. Again, if you want the packet, just email us and we will get this packet out to you. So there's a few steps, but we want to start today with step one, which is identify your strategy. What is your strategy and what's the conversation you're going to have? Let me say up front, we're not asking you to register Democrats only, or Republicans only, or third party only. We're asking you to register voters. That's what we're asking you to do. Register voters. Don't get into arguments. Don't get into your platform or your what you believe. Your thing is, hey, are you a registered voter? And when people are out here discussing their likes or dislikes, say, hey, but are you registered? If not, let's get you registered right now. Then you send them to one of the sites. We are currently working on going through the vetting process to have our own link to register voters. It's a long process, but we're actually getting through all the steps. So we may have our own link, News in Motion voting registration link soon. So y'all can pray for that. But what we're trying to do is get people registered to vote. That's our target. That's it. Nothing more. We're not saying we're trying to register Democrats or we're trying to register Republicans or we're trying to register third party. We're not doing that. We're saying we want to hear your voice, so let's get registered. So you have 3 minutes. You've heard me talk about this in other workshops. You have 3 minutes to make your pitch. Whatever that conversation is, it should be a natural conversation. So, for example, voter registration, who do you want to reach? When we're talking about identifying your strategy, you have to start with who do you want to reach? So, for example, we have several college students. I'm so excited about this. Several college students. So, I've been sharing with them, and they can make their own decisions. But some of them have called me over the weekend. Hey, I got the packet. Thank you so much. Do you want me just to focus on college students? Well, that's up to you. But if you are in a dorm and you have an audience right there, of course, that should be a part of your strategy. People are saying, okay, I work full time. I'm back in the office. Do I target people on my job? You got to be very careful with that. You got to follow their rules and policies and procedures. But if you're on a lunch break outside and you say, hey, I just want to make sure you're registered to vote, ask that question there. Is that your demographic? Would your audience or people you want to reach where your children are playing sports, where your children are participating in school activities, where you're working out, where you're on in a walk club or a walking team or a hip hop exercise, whatever that is, determine your targeted group. Is it your Sunday school class at church? Is it your investment club? Is it your hotel group, Hester? Whatever that is it your community? Whatever that is, you have to determine who you want to reach. Do not assume that everyone is already registered to vote. Mike Nicholson said, that's my group, hip hop. There you go. Do not assume that anybody is already registered voter. Deborah said this is critical. The goal is registration, not party recruitment. Nope, you're right. Not party recruitment. Not party recruitment. So thank you for hearing me say that. Then number two, why do you want to reach them? You have to determine your pitch and start with, why do I want to reach them? Why do I care if people are registered to vote? Why do I care if people are registered to vote? That's where you start. That's going to be your platform. I care, for example, for me, I care that people are registered to vote because I'm hearing so much, so many different platforms and spins and communication. I'm like, okay, we all got to get on one page. And if you feel this passionate about it, you have to be sure to use that passion through your vote. Your voice is your vote. So let's get in there and let's vote. Change that remix. Your vote is your voice. Excuse me. So get in there and make sure you are registered to vote. Here's another opportunity to check your voter registration. Last election, I was telling us to do it a quarter out, so 3 months out. No, we need to start doing that now. It's already getting pretty mucky out here, so you wanna start identifying that. So why do you want to reach them? What's your why? Which I'll get to that in a moment as well. Good morning, Patricia. What's your why? And then number 3 under voter registration, how would you define your targeted audience? How would you define them? Are they engaged with what's happening in current affairs? If not, you want, maybe a part of your why is I want them to become more engaged. Would your targeted audience be your age group? Are you looking at, let's say, from 18 to 21 or from 18 to 25 or 21 to 25 or 27 or 28 to 33, whatever that group is? Identify it. If you're in a mom's group, young moms, single parents group, whatever, identify your target audience. Identify them. Are they high school students? Who are you looking at? Mike Nicholson says Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. A voteless people are hopeless people, and we help register folks to vote. Absolutely. If we would all have that, I don't, I told y'all when we first started News and Motion, I know we were 3 years old in like a week or two, but when we first started it, that was in that 2020 general election. And yes, we wanted to get people registered to vote. Here we are in 2023 looking at that 2024 general election, that presidential election. And yes, we should also vote in every election that you are allowed to vote in. But when we look at this is a different ball game, y'all. This is a different landscape. And we're encouraging people to vote on a different level now. There's so much activity. We have to pay attention to this. We have to pay attention. So again, if you have not received the packet and you want to say, hey, I want to be a volunteer to register people to vote, email us at newsinmotionwithgail@gmail.com and we will get this packet out to you immediately. So you can get this slide. So the next one, more on the strategy, inspiring. How will you register voters? What does that look like? You're not beating people over the head. You're not doing that. You're having a conversation. And in that conversation, you're asking a question. Go back to what I shared with y'all a few weeks ago. It was like May 18th, I believe, where I shared with you, I was at Target in line, 6 feet apart, in line where this woman was complaining about something. We got into this good conversation. And I said, well, yeah, that's why we vote. And then that woman, I think she was like 60 something. She said she wasn't a voter. She wasn't registered to vote. And I looked at her and I said, just shut up talking to me. Now, I didn't say that to her, but in my head, but I had to find a way to continue a conversation to get her excited about voting. So I turned that around like, well, I hear you, but you can help make a difference and you can help shift this paradigm if you were a registered voter. She began to tell me why she wasn't a registered voter. And you're like, my vote doesn't count anyway. Yes, it does. So make sure if you're doing this and you get into this, you don't want to get into an argument with anybody. That is not your goal here. Your goal is to register people to vote. You do not want to get into any arguments, but you also come with detailed information. You come with articles. You come with facts. You come with truth. You come with websites. I said, hey, here's a good one, ballotpedia.org. Check this out. You can find out everything you need to know. Hey, did you know you could go to the Supreme Court of the United States website and see what's on the floor, what they're going to be, the oral arguments and how the votes. I started giving her information, but I also paid attention to realize I was beginning to also overwhelm her. So I backed off. And I said, hey, you may want to write some of these down. Hey, do you mind me airdropping you? Because she had an iPhone. Do you mind me airdropping you some websites so you can look at it? I found a way. And when she said no, okay, well, you have a great day. You're not mad. You're not angry. You keep going because they're going to remember that. They're going to remember, wow, that person didn't even get upset with me. They're going to remember that. So you want to find a way as to how will you register voters. Now, here's the thing. You cannot register somebody. No. You can't do that. You can send them to sites, or if you go and you can also get the actual cards, but why you want to do that? Because then you're responsible for sending them in or dropping them off at the Bureau of Motor Vehicles or the voter headquarters. You don't want to do all of that, but you do want to make sure they're you cannot register them. They have to register themselves. They can hand you the card back, but you cannot register them. So you want to decide, what do I want to do? Do I want to send them to one link? Now, if you notice here on News in Motion, I will give you rockthevote.org. I will give you whenweallvote.org. Those are the black sites, okay? So, and those are the progressive sites. But I will also say, go to vote.us. I will also send other links out there to make it balanced. So know your audience and know what link you're going to give them. That's very important. Your strategy clear. What's your message? What is your message? Again, you have less than 3 minutes. What's your message? What message are you going to deliver? Credibility, challenge worldviews and shift the paradigm. Challenge the worldviews. Like with this lady, I said to her, okay, let's think about this. your platform and what you're saying is absolutely correct, but what are you going to do with it? So I was challenging her on a small level to get her to think, are you sharing this with other people? Go back to when we had Ohio State Representative Lauren McNally on last week doing Wednesday workshop, and she was talking about the relaxing of the child labor laws. Do y'all know that's been my lead in for over 2 weeks now? Like, that is my lead in. I have had the conversation with my neighbors. I'm having conversations with people that I know either work with kids, work with children, or have children. And I'm saying to them, did you know about this? And they're like, what are you talking about? And they start looking it up and they're like, oh, and then they go share it with somebody else. I've been seeing these Facebook posts all over the place. So that's the way you challenge people to get involved and see what's happening. Caution, it must be believable. What you're saying must be believable. Okay. If you stretch too far off from current reality, that's not happening. Everybody's not into that that alternative truth. They want the truth. And then commitment, you own the narrative and you have to be able to support that narrative. If y'all have questions, come in here. And then execute the plan and the strategy. Identify what voting registrations websites you will use, which I was just talking about. Use your platform to register voters. Again, you can't register them, but use your platform. You have a clipboard or whatever, or the handwritten cards. You just hand those over to them. They can complete them and give them to you. Now, you can say you can drop them off yourself. I don't know if they're going to do that. So if you're using that method, make sure you take those back and then you drop them off. Again, you can drop them off at the Bureau of Motor Vehicle or the Board of Elections. Excuse me, I was calling it something else. The Board of Elections, you can drop them off there. And then recruit those you register to help register others. You'd be so excited about this that they say, well, I want to do this too. Again, our goal here at News in Motion is $5,000 a month. How we're going to track that, there's in that packet, there's a way that you can track it, but you're really going to be guessing, especially if they're using the online sites. Now, if you stand there with them and they're completing it, y'all let them know it takes less than 3 minutes to do it. It really takes less than 2 minutes to do it. If you know they've done it and they say, hey, I'm a registered voter, go ahead and check them off. If you have the cards, you can count those each month to check those out. Make sure you deliver those cards and turn them over as well. Any questions? Y'all don't have any questions? Then we want to organize. Y'all can tell I love this, right? Just organize. You have to think about it. And here's one of the questions I have. Will you have a monthly focus group to discuss voting and issues that are currently being voted in Congress? Will you have a monthly focus group? You can have it where it's 15 minutes. You could have what you call a coffee time or a tea time or a mimosa time or whatever that is, where you're gathering people. You can have a lunchtime or evening snack or whatever, pizza night, whatever. Something to do, which I'll talk about focus groups in a few moments, so stay with me. After you have registered people to vote, how will you keep them engaged? If we start registering people now in June, which people are already starting to register people, shout out to all of you who have. I've had phone calls like, I registered 10 people today, and we just really kicked this off on Monday. And I'm like, really? And they're like, yes, I did this group and this happened, and they're excited. And I got 2 more people who want to volunteer. Can you send them packets? Yep. And I sent them the packet. So people are excited about it. But the question is, how do we keep them engaged until 2024? Believe me, there's enough news out here to keep them engaged every day. But you also want to pace yourself and not become too overwhelmed. And don't be discouraged if someone says, I really don't want to register to vote. It's okay. You planted a seed. Now you just got to trust that somebody else is going to come alongside and water that seed. So that's how you got to just think about, how do I keep these people engaged? Do I have a follow-up? Do I want to do a WhatsApp text group? Do I want to do a group chat? You got to make sure people are okay with that. You need to get their permission first before you continue that. So whatever that looks like for you, make sure you're doing it. And then what are your plans for recruiting more News in Motion ambassadors to register voters? Again, I think your overall excitement alone will bring other people along. What's my time like? Man, this time be going. So what's your why? Knowing your why, there's a typo there. Knowing your why will help with registering people to vote. So what is your why behind that? And I really want us to dig in when you're thinking about that. Again, I said that earlier. Why do you want to register people to vote? Well, we're going to work through this real quick. Your why worksheet. I thought of everything for this handout. Write your vote story using the worksheet. So when you get these, it's a PDF. You can print it off. You can share it. I don't care, just as long as you don't take my logo off of it. Do what you want to. What's your why? So your why workshop. Write your vote story using a worksheet. Think about, what got you engaged with this? Why in the beginning maybe you were just registering to vote just to do it. When I was in high school, we could not graduate East High School until we showed that we were registered voters. Yeah, that was a part of our graduation ceremony. We had to be registered voters to get our cap and gown. We did, especially if you were in that age group. You did, or if you were turning a certain age by that next election, you did, and we all did. And that was Columbus East High School here in Columbus, Ohio. So I remember that. I remember that voting rally we had, voter registration rally we had in the high school. I remember the principal coming out, sharing stories. I remember having community people come out and share stories. And when they were done, and they made it so engaging, when they were finished, Stephanie Burbridge Hall, I think you're still on here. My brother's on here. When they were finished, we were like, yeah, where do we sign up? It was that engaging. And then from that, I remember my parents and grandparents talking about voting. I remember things and different incidents and the importance of voting. And then later on in life, I became more informed and more engaged, and my eyes have been open. Each year, I'm learning something different. I'm growing in this, and I'm wanting to share it. So I'm a little spotty there because of the time we have, but that's my vote story. So know your vote story. And again, 3 minutes or less, know your vote story. So with this why worksheet, and this is the bottom of the worksheet, ideas you have to get people registered to vote. Write those out in the worksheet. And then you can always keep printing off more pages of this. You have the 14 pages I sent, but you can I think this is page 12. You can continue to copy this page out and do whatever, use it however you want to. So you want to, what ideas do you have to get people registered to vote? Thoughts as to why people are not registered voters. You have to start thinking about, well, why aren't people registered voters? Is it that they had an incident? Is it that they believe they cannot register to vote because of a past offense? Look up your state laws and see if it's true. Every state does not have the same laws. So make sure you're identifying laws for your state. Just start thinking about, why aren't they registered? Is it because they have so many tickets on their cars, on their car, and they can't register to vote? Or they're afraid to, or what? Find out, drill down what that is. Think ahead of time so that you're able to answer those questions. Honest feelings when you learn that people are not registered. Yeah, my feelings, it's on my face. I'm not excited about it at all. It's like, what do you mean you're not registered to vote? So I have to write down those honest feelings because you have to deal with it. Because if you're like me, you may show it on your face and you don't want to do that. What age group will you target? Concerns speaking with certain groups, with a certain group. Action you will take to get people registered to vote. Just what's your why and how you can work through that worksheet. And then the focus group flow. And again, this is 14 pages. I only gave you, I think, 6 here. Write out your goals and objectives. So what would your focus group look like? Or if you decide to do a focus group, you don't have to, but it is helpful to keep the participation going. What are the goals and the objectives? Where will you meet? How often will you meet with that as well? So what are the current issues? So I have a current issue I want to share with all of you. And this is CNBC that's reporting. I need to pull it up. All right, y'all. So here's my example so y'all can see this in action. All right, CNBC reports pharmaceutical giant Merck sues federal government over provisions included in last year's Inflation Reduction Act, allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices. So on yesterday, Merck, the pharmaceutical giant, sued the Biden administration over the Medicare's new powers to substantially reduce drug prices for seniors under the Inflation Reduction Act. Now, because they have sued them, doesn't mean they're going to win. That sends the message that this pharmaceutical giant wants to return to charging seniors this ridiculous price for medication. Ridiculous price. They do not want Medicare to have the opportunity to negotiate prices for seniors. So in a focus group, that could be a current issue. So if your targeted audience, whether it's the 18-year-olds, especially if they have parents or grandparents or great grandparents who are in this Medicare Medicaid slot, or if it's seniors that you're targeting, letting them know, hey, look, they don't even want you to negotiate. So y'all know me. I got to connect the dots. So then I go and look to see, and there's too many to name. Well, who is this pharmaceutical company giving money to their campaign and platform? Just do a Google search. And I'm thinking, okay, so they're in office. They're either in the Senate or the House of Representatives. They're getting money to fund their campaign. So what platform have their campaign on in the upcoming months? And what does this look like? And how will this alter? And will this go away? Questions you have to ask. So current issues, Congress votes. How will they vote on this piece of legislation? What are the pros and the cons to a vote like this? What other articles do I have to support this? What are the findings behind this? Am I for this or against this? That's how we look at this focus group. And again, you don't want to say, well, I side this way or I side that way. You just want to have the discussion. You want to have the conversation. The conversation is important because here, from what I've read, and when I saw the list of names, and I won't, there's too many to name, but this one is one party. When I saw the list of names and the amount of millions that's being flowed into their campaign, I'm thinking, wow, what's about to happen here? So you would rather charge marginalized people, seniors, you rather charge people on Medicare and Medicaid this crazy price. So now you're going to sue the government because they put in this negotiation for the Reduction Act. Now, Merck called the law, I want y'all to hear this. They called the law's drug price negotiation program a sham. They said this in a scathing complaint to the federal court in Washington, D.C. The company also accused the federal government of employing what the suit describes as an unconstitutional scheme to take private property for public use without just compensation in violation of the Fifth Amendment. So, of course, you then go and talk about the Fifth Amendment. That's how you have a focus group. Now, their last year was $2.8 billion, that's with the B, in revenue from its type 2 diabetes drug, Januvia, a medication that is said to be subject to Medicare price negotiation in 2022. So they're upset because this Inflation Reduction Act is knocking on their 2.8 billion with a B dollar in revenue for type 2 drug diabetes. They're saying, we don't want to negotiate that price. We don't want it to be $35. Hello, somebody. We want it to be more. We want it to be the $350 that we were already charging people, that they may or may not be able to afford that. We want it to go back to that price. That's what we're dealing with, y'all. That's what we're looking at. So that's just an example of what this is. I have so much more to share, but it's already at that 8:00 hour. So much more to share, but this is a portion, and this is why we need people to register to vote. Why do we need to do this when there's already the Fair Fight Act that's in the Georgia area? Why do we need to do this when we all vote that's out there? Why do we need to do this, or why should we do this when there's Rock the Vote out there, when there's Move On out there? Collectively, we're all coming together to do one thing. The other thing, the reason I decided we were going to put News in Motion on this platform and in the hat as well, is because I believe we have a different demographic. I really do believe it. I believe we hit a different sector, as different population of people that are people. We have what we call the faith community, people coming along, different demographics coming along, different economic status coming along to do this work. And so, hey, and here's the truth, if we just register one person to vote each month, that's one more than we would have if we would have stayed out of out of this movement that's happening right now. So, y'all, that's just a brief Wednesday workshop. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat now. Did this make sense? Not make sense? Please talk to me a little bit. Y'all kind of quiet today, but let me know. I'm sure y'all are also listening as well. I've seen some of the comments in here, but if there's any comments, please put that in there. As you're doing that, just let me give you, it's not necessarily inspirational message, it's just a point of encouragement. Do what's best for you. Do what's best for you. You're like, I like this, but I'm not into registering people to vote. Then that's not for you. So do what's best for you. Or I just rather talk to my family to make sure they're registered voters. Hey, that's a start. That's where you should go. That's what you should do. Again, we're not trying to register people to vote based upon party. We're trying to register people to vote, period, because their voice matters. And we want to make sure we get that out to everyone. All right, y'all. Let me see. Kim Edmondson says, great information. Thank you, Kim Edmondson. Anyone else? Anyone else? Yesterday, we did open it up for anyone who wanted to list their business, that they could do that. I meant to grab, there was a few on the chat yesterday. I went back to look at them and I forgot to grab them. So if you're on here and you want to put your business in the chat, feel free to do that today as well. With that, I think I don't see any other comments. Isaiah, let me know if you see any comments. All right, y'all. With that, tomorrow, we'll be back tomorrow. Deborah says, this was so informative. Thank you. You are welcome. You are welcome. I see you made it back into YouTube. Marion Jackson says, inspirational message, point of encouragement. Do what's best for you. Thank you, Marion, for putting that in. Marion's always on the case with that. She's been like that from day one. I appreciate you, Marion, so much. All right, y'all. Is there anything else? So this was a different kind of news, but this was still news. This was news in motion. We wanted to get you to have an understanding of what this looked like and how we can unpack this. Again, if you want to join us on becoming a volunteer to register people to vote, email us at newsinmotionwithgail@gmail.com and we will get that packet of information out to you. You actually get two attachments. You get this 14-page document and you also get the document out of Ready Publication, a nonpartisan voter resource guide. You also get that as well. All right, y'all. Y'all know what I say. Until tomorrow, everyone stay well. And remember, make some bold moves. We're out.